Remember when I said I was going to take a break from knitting for a while? So do I. I did have an idea for a different video this week, but it was not going well. It was going to be a good video, it was going to be informative, it was going to show off my big brain, but apparently I'm actually not that smart. I was going to show you guys how to make your own LED panels for like some studio lighting for videos, but it was just not working out. Like, have you ever failed at something so badly that you just had to throw it all away, just toss it all in the trash and just completely forget about it? Because I have. Like, I don't even have video of the end product because it was just so awful. I failed completely. So instead I decided to knit a bunch of hats with the leftover yarn that I had for extra Christmas presents this year. So this is the orange yarn that I have left over from my cardigan. It's a size 6, super bulky, and I'm going to be knitting it with size 11 needles. And I'm just going to cast on like 30 stitches. 30 stitches, and I'm just going to do a garter stitch. So I was really excited about this video I was going to make. I had this idea in my head that I was going to take this YouTube channel to the next level, right? I was going to make my own lighting, because, you know, right now I'm working with daylight, and that's great and all, but the days are getting shorter. And if you live in the Northern Hemisphere like I do, the sun doesn't rise until like 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, and then it's dark by 4:30, which is just great, so great. That being said, I don't have a lot of daylight to work with to rely on, because right now there's a window behind you, and that's the only light I get in this room, which is really great during the morning, but sometimes I don't have time to film in the morning. And so the other day I was out for work, you know, I was out on a site visit, and I decided to bring some yarn with me because I was going to be sitting outside for quite a while with nothing to do but just wait for my work to be done. So I brought some yarn with me, and I thought, you know, why not? Why not sit outside and start knitting something with all this leftover yarn that I have? Because I had about 1, 2, 3, 4. I had about 5 balls of yarn left, and I didn't want it to go to waste. And with the holidays coming up and everything, I thought it would be a good idea to, you know, have some handmade things to give to my family, in addition to other presents and everything. But this is something easy, you know, and it uses up leftover material. And who doesn't like hats, right? I like hats. So I watched a few videos online showing me how to, you know, make them and everything, and I found one pattern that I do like, which is pretty simple, and that's the one that I'm showing you here, which is just, you know, basic garter stitch. Now, struggling is probably the wrong word, but I was trying to figure out ideas for more YouTube videos because I got a lot of views from my hairstyles cardigan videos. I got like 7,000 from that. But the thing is, like, I don't really want to be a knitting channel because I'm not that good at it, obviously. But it seems like the universe just wants to keep me in this knitting world. I can't get away from it. But anyway, I was thinking of video ideas, and I was trying to come up with a way to do a little project that would help me make more videos, but I could also video. So, you know, I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And I thought, oh, you know, making lighting would be a good idea. You know, everyone needs lighting. It's some small project that I could work on that people might find interesting and might find informative. Because I did get a degree in electrical engineering, so I do know what I'm doing in some way or another, even though I forgot most of everything that I learned because I studied it 2.5 years ago. But there was one point when I was really good at electrical engineering. In fact, I was president of my school's electrical engineering honor society. But now I don't remember any of it. It's gone all out the window. So the reason why my other project was a total failure was because there was some soldering involved. And I'm generally like pretty okay at soldering, but I was using these LED strips that had these tiny little copper leads that are paper thin, and trying to solder them with a really cheap soldering iron just was not working. I ended up burning nearly every single lead, and the soldering iron that I got, it was like 10 bucks on Amazon, and you really do get what you pay for when it comes to soldering irons. It just, that tip oxidized as soon as I took it out of the box. It was awful. It was just not working, and I spent hours and hours and hours trying to get that thing to work, and the whole thing was just a burnt, sticky, lead-covered mess by the end of it, so I just tossed everything out. Everything. So I have a fairly large head, so I cast off once it reached about 45 centimeters. I think that this is gonna make somewhere like around an adult large hat, but if you have a normal sized head, anywhere between 40 and 45 centimeters is gonna be a good length. Also, if you're someone who tends to have a high amount of tension when you're knitting, for these hats specifically, I would suggest trying to loosen up your tension a bit. You know, don't get all loosey-goosey on it, but it does help for the hat to stretch so that it's more comfortable to wear if you don't knit quite so tightly. Now, the reason why choosing the number of stitches that you cast on at the beginning is important is because this is going to be the height of the hat. If you hold it up here, you can see that you're going to knit it this way all the way around. So this decides how tall your hat is going to be. So if you wanted to have a little like fold up part, you should account for that. But I think 30 with a bulky weight yarn and with a light amount of tension will give you enough so that you can fold up the rim, which didn't do in this one, but it'll work that way. So Thanksgiving was just a couple of days ago. I don't know about you guys, but mine was very quiet. I was at home with my family and my aunt came over because she's in our bubble, our COVID bubble. But it was a good time regardless. You know, we had the turkey, we had all the fixins, we had the mashed potatoes and the green bean casserole and the stuffing and the gravy and everything. Ooh, and I made a really, really good dessert. I was thinking of trying something new this year, so I thought, let me look online to find like a really decadent dessert that like you wouldn't get that often. So I settled on a pear tarte tatin that I watched Gordon Ramsay make on a YouTube video. And I was going off this with like practically no recipe because he was just showing like, oh, first you add butter, then you do sugar, and then you cut your pears. And this is all without any actual quantities. But regardless, I was like, let me try this. I can do this. And it actually turned out really well. I'm actually gonna insert a video here to show you guys what I did. I even flambéed it. Like, doesn't that just look amazing? And on top of it looking iconic, it also tasted really good. It was kind of similar to like a pie, even though it's technically a tart, but those were caramelized pears with like a butterscotch syrup on them. And then I served that with a homemade creme anglaise custard. And I just wish that we had vanilla ice cream to go with it, which we didn't have at the time, but with the custard and everything, oh, it was so good and so decadent. Which makes sense because there was 3 sticks of butter and over a cup of sugar in it. But it was wonderful, you know, it was just good food, good drink, good conversation. It was a nice, quiet Thanksgiving, which I liked. And then after all that, we played a game of Catan, which is always fun. And that flambé was Grand Marnier. It would have been better with a cognac flambé, but I was working with what I had. I also made these Finnish cookies called joulutorttu, which are basically Finnish Christmas cookies, which is like a ricotta dough, lots of butter and sugar, and then you put a prune jam in the middle of them. Oh, they were so good. Okay. Alright, so here's a finished hat panel. So like I said before, I cast on 30 stitches and then I knitted about 60 stitches long, and that's about 45 centimeters. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cast on side and the cast off side, and I'm going to fold this in half and sew them together. So I left on about a yard of a tail. Okay, so now that I have both the cast on side and the cast off side sewn together, I'm gonna take what's left of the tail and I'm gonna cinch the top of it. And to do that, I'm gonna take my yarn needle and I'm gonna sew it through every other rib created by the garter stitch pattern. So I'm going to, here's the source of it, I'm going to skip this one, sew this one, skip this one, sew this one together. I'm just gonna take the topmost loop of each and go all the way around. And once I have that done, all I need to do is pull, and then it's cinched at the top, and then I'm just gonna double knot it, and then I'll tuck in the tail down the seam line, and it'll be done. And here's the finished product. I like it. It fits really well for my gigantic head, but it's done. And this is something that would make a really good stocking stuffer. You could probably make 1 or 2 of these in a day, depending on how fast you knit. It's a good project to reuse or use up some of the yarn you might have left over from making the cardigan or from other projects, just so that nothing goes to waste. So next time I'm definitely gonna try to do something that's not knitting related, so we'll see what happens, but like and subscribe for more.